Hello there, and welcome to episode 8 of the Not So Casual Gamer podcast. My name is Sam Christensen, and joining me as always is Lewis Cunningham. Lewis, how are you today?
Hello. Yes, it's going to be a late one tonight for us.
We're recording this on Tuesday night, Tuesday the 15th. The episode goes live for us as we sit tomorrow at 12. If you're listening to this, of course, that is not the case. However, we are recording it late at night because we just wanted to get all the E3 stuff out of the way. As the title suggests for this episode, we are going to be talking about E3, E3 2021, but we'll be going into some fond E3 memories and kind of talk about the highs and lows of this particular year. So we were going to do it earlier in the week and kind of skip the Nintendo one, but we decided not to. And spoiler alert, we probably could have. But anyway,
this is the E3 hot mess. Just
E3 2021, a hot mess. I think we're just going to get into it. We've got, we've been playing a lot of games recently.
Oh yeah.
As if you've listened to the last episode, which was all about The Last of Us, so I can understand if you haven't, if you've not played the game, you don't want it spoiled. We both got Xbox Series S.
Did it.
Effectively. We did it. We finally did it. It really is a sort of Games Pass machine, and we are enjoying ourselves. So much so, and are playing so much, that we are dedicating a whole episode to it in 2 weeks' time. So in the next episode, episode 9. So we'll spare what we've been playing fully. There's some interesting surprises on there and a plethora of games, but we'll kind of save our thoughts a little bit until the next episode. But do know that we have been playing. We have definitely been playing.
Oh yes. Yes. No, this is going to be all about E3, and I think the kind of the main takeaway from this year is that it was just like kind of like quantity over anything major and earth shattering, but that's all right because the more the merrier, and there's something for everybody,
Something for everyone, and it was quite nice. I have to say, it was quite nice to get that kind of feeling back of meeting up and watching the conferences, and there's a part of me that prefers it is, and there's a part of me that prefers the sort of pre-recorded take that they've kind of had to go with these. I've always enjoyed the Nintendo Directs.
No, you prefer no. Takes away some of the fun.
No, that's what I was about to say. I think overall, it's a slightly more streamlined idea, but yes, it does take away some of the kind of cringe factor of E3 that we can kind of talk about. Do you want to do like memories first, or do you want to just talk about this?
Yeah, no, we'll talk about some memories because it just seems fitting after introducing it like this. I always loved. I think the first real E3, like live, like being cognizant of the conferences and watching along, the first year that I properly did that, and was like really invested as like I'm all in, I'm a gamer, this is it, I'm doing this, was 2013, I believe. Was it 2013? I think so, because I think what set me off was obviously how I think it was in February, March, when Sony did their PS4 reveal event, which obviously was a very similar kind of thing. And it was like, oh yeah, big excitement, nice event, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, well, E3, that's the thing. And obviously they'll be announcing and talking about loads of cool stuff before those consoles come out. So it's going to be like a big, fun time. So yeah, that was kind of my first foray. I mean, what about you?
My first one was 2015, I believe. No, maybe 2016. I think it might have been 2016. Whatever one it was that we were at Dorset Street back in Glasgow. Big up Dorset Street. That was 2015. We moved there, but it was like August. So yeah, it must have been 2016. that would have been the first one that I was aware of.
Yeah, I mean,
and
we
was sort of
probably
interested in.
like, summer 2015. We probably chatted about maybe things that had been revealed or whatever. But
yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. No, we would have been speaking about what had just been revealed in 2015. But I definitely didn't sit down to watch all the conferences. But I do remember us all effectively just doing the exact same that we've done every year since. Just
it's tradition.
Getting, finding all the UK times for, putting them in the calendar and then getting them inevitably wrong because time zones and stuff. And you're like, oh, no, wait, it's an hour earlier or something. So it must definitely 2016 for sure.
Imagine not being a dork.
I know.
What a life.
To be honest, I can't even really remember specifically what... Was that the year of, like, the Sony press conference with... like the orchestra, or was that 2017? What did they announce? They announced God of War. I think it was. I think it was my first one.
I think 2016 was that one, which is hilarious.
I think it was because they announced, which is, I mean, what a great place to start. Like, let's talk good E3 memories.
Well,
like
I think those
Sony...
two in the recent sort of years are regarded as like the biggest holy shit ones. 2013 and 16 was when shit just got crazy. Because like I'm going to talk specifically about 2013 and how ridiculous it was.
Well, 2016 was God of War, was Spider-Man, was... No, it wasn't The Last of Us Part 2. Although I think The Last of Us Part 2 still got announced in 2016, but that was at PSX.
Yeah, towards the end.
That was in December. But, it's not E3, but you could kind of lump that all in as like the year that Sony were like, here
it was
you go.
Absolutely
like,
ridiculous in the best way. Like, it was just, right, this is a show. You've got the grandiosity and the orchestra like punctuating
the score.
Like, they fucking deliberately went and said, right, let's turn this into actual theatre. And there's something hilarious, but just so endearing about that. Like,
well, what my sort of vivid memory, and we were we spoke about this the other night, but not in this context, but I think that was the same year that like 2.5 hour long Ubisoft press conference was, which happened before, and we'd watched that, and it was like, live music like, dancers like for the Just Dance, and a presenter that was making terrible jokes and and then to go from that to Sony's, which was just like trailer gameplay gameplay.
They absolutely like nailed it, because it was like it shouldn't really be any longer than well, it depends. If they've got a lot to show, then
if they've got enough to
and
show,
you can hold
go for
your
it.
attention, then sure, an hour and a half maybe, but an hour is usually the sweet spot, I guess, if it's going to be good.
I mean, that's also the show that Sean Layden came out and announced Crash coming back. Like, I was freaking out all over.
We miss you, Sean Layden.
I think even there was I think there was even some like Horizon stuff there, because that came out the next year. So there was even some like maybe an extended gameplay demo or something. We probably should have looked this up beforehand, but this is definitely more anecdotal and stuff like that. We might get some years wrong here and there, but it's all about the memories. But that one definitely stood out for sure.
Totally.
What about your 2013 one?
So obviously 2013 it possibly is going to go down as the most legendary E3 ever. Not just on Sony's part, but because Sony up until that point with the PS3 era, they'd had to, over the whole generation, claw back sort of like their dignity almost, because everyone it was just like they started on such a wrong foot with the price of the PS3.
$599.
Just some strange choices that they made in terms of what they would show and decisions they were making. So and their confidence is, I think, used to be regarded as like pretty weird and terrible. But in 2013 they were like, right, PS4, we're going to just streamline everything, be really to the point, just it's all about the games. Like, this is hardcore console gaming at its finest. And oh my goodness, they couldn't have ran with that ball any better that year, because they announced the console, that was great. And then E3, it was like, okay, so Xbox went first. They'd revealed the Xbox One, and it was kind of like, okay, bit iffy on that one because they talked about TV a lot and
Yeah, not games, just TV.
Yeah,
I remember hearing about
sports
that.
and TV, and it was like, okay, so wait till E3 if they've got the games, then fair enough. And we didn't know the price or anything yet. And Microsoft went first, as they used to do, and didn't really have much to show in terms of like, oh my god, I gotta play that game. And it was like TV sports, and it's kind of a big lumbering console. It's not as powerful as the PS4. Oh, and it's $500. Okay, and it comes with a Kinect, no question. Like no choice. Okay, Xbox, sure. And then Sony went, and I think everyone was kind of almost like expecting them to blow them away, and they did in the funniest, most like "fuck you, drop the mic" kind of way. It was so funny. Like watching along with that, it was as if you were watching like a really great WrestleMania or something.
Yeah.
And everyone was just whooping and cheering and out of their seats. And I remember just live kind of messaging or whatever with one of my friends back then. We were just so into it. And, they were like, it's $400 and here's all these great games and it doesn't come with a camera and it's more powerful and just all these things, details, and they just kept like hitting it out the park. And, God, it was just exciting and interesting and memorable, and you kind of felt bad for Xbox almost, and but it's like that.
It really set them up for how that generation went for them.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Like that was
Role reversal.
Even at the time, I was sort of right back into my games again. I'd gotten the PS3 like super cheap secondhand that year to catch up on a lot of games that I'd missed. Knowing full well the PS4 was coming out pretty much a month after I got the PS3, but that wasn't.
I thought you got it. Was that 2012? The year before you got your PS3? It
was like the tail end of 2012, so it was like
right
December or something like that. It might have been Christmas money I even got it with, but it was. I can't remember the exact times. I do remember just being fairly fresh with it on like New Year's Eve, and I was ill on New Year's Eve, so I just sat playing it all the time. So that is roughly around about that time.
The rest is history.
Yeah, for sure. So I knew I wasn't getting a PS4 at launch anyway. Just I wasn't so ingrained in it at that point, so I wasn't like I need to get this straight away. I'll kind of wait for that sort of launch window to kind of dissipate in the games to kind of those cross. I was still stupid then. I'm still stupid now, but I didn't. I was like, yeah, this Black Flag's also coming to PS3. That'll be fine. Which actually it was. To be fair, it was
good enough. Yeah.
So I wasn't like day one needing it, and actually Kerry got hers day one.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it kind of sat unused for a while. She got like Call of Duty Ghosts with it and stuff, or maybe not. Whoever one came out at the time,
I didn't.
But it sat unused for a while. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't. So that almost. Like I was like, I don't need one just now. It's kind of like I was saying, it's sitting unused. And actually, at the time it came out, I was just working my way through like all the Assassin's Creed games that I'd missed and stuff, and they were obviously not playable on the PS4. So I wasn't really at that moment in time like missing out on anything too much. But I got the PS4 less than a year in, so it was 2014, sort of early 2014. And from then I was really kind of, more plugged in, as it were. Maybe not to watch the conference live, like we said, it was 2016 before I did, but definitely was more plugged in.
You were on your way.
I was well on my way to start podcasting about the whole ordeal, but I think the biggest thing that really stands out from E3s, I don't know if you're ready to like talk about it, but is the cringy moments. It is like stuff that has become almost part of our vocabulary. Like
there has just been some fantastic moments, and actually I think it kind of set up our culture of enjoying kind of just watching along with things and making fun of them as we go.
Oh yeah, like we I mean even this year alone, and there was a lot to make fun of, but that's just what we do. I mean, we'll make fun of the games that we're also excited about at the time, but I mean, I've even got some stories from this event that will stick with me, like as funny stories in years to come. But like, obviously the biggest one for us. I mean, this is probably like super niche, but if you've seen it, you've seen it. But is the Rage 2 announcement at Bethesda's conference, maybe like 2 years ago? Whenever they announced, maybe 2-3 years ago.
Was it not? Because that year, that was like the biggest one for all the.
Well, it was the biggest one. They had Andrew WK playing, and then they showed Fallout 76.
16 times the detail.
Well, there you go. We've said that, I think, on every episode of the podcast, so that's one.
It just works.
An E3 moments. It just works. So that's something that immediately is like in our sort of inside jokes, is in our sort of vocabulary. But also, they announced Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6 at the end of that same show, because they really didn't have... It was like their biggest show, but with like no substance. Do you know what I mean? Like there was really nothing to see. But the Rage 2 announcement, it was the really, really tall sort of Nordic looking man.
He was quite Nordic, yes.
Very Nordic, very nervous, and understandably nervous to be on that stage. And
he forgot his lines.
He forgot his... It was a little bit of forgetting his lines, but it was also like kind of letting the crowd like sort of he was trying to amp the crowd up, and obviously, sorry, as this is an audio podcast, but kind of raising the roof a little bit and like breathing, and then like every time he would go to start saying something, someone would clap again, so he would stop and like pump them up again. You can do it, man. You can do it.
Oh my god! Oh, there's so many little bits. Oh my god! Yves Guillemot. I'm sure you will love it.
I'm sure you will love it. When he was talking about Mario Rabbids, like, oh man,
so
and like
awkward.
These are things like, if we're watching something and we're not enjoying it, we'll be like, oh, I'm sure I will not love it. You know what I mean? Like
Elijah Wood, no. And I've got. I'm just gonna keep knocking them out the park. Jesse Wellens. Jesse Wellens
with the was it Need for Speed or something like that, and he was just like
also forgot his lines.
Yeah, this game. I think he's gone on YouTube to say like, oh, that was that was their like problem, not his kind of thing. But I still don't believe it. I love it. What else? Oh no, have I actually forgotten? Surely not. Oh, Keanu Reeves, you're breathtaking, and stuff like that, and just the sort of memes on that, and obviously Cyberpunk being what Cyberpunk is now, and you can kind of look back on these exciting moments with like a sort of different lens, and it's just,
I think, even with just so much, even with like this year and it being pre-recorded and very sort of cut down, there's just something about games industry people trying to make these like cool, kind of relatable, kind of like, we're not dorks, here's our cool product. It's just a very inherently bizarre thing. Like, I don't know, they just lend themselves to...
Have you ever responded to welcome to our open world. You are fluffin', and you are in this post-apocalyptic, and you are a bad... Like, just show us the game, man. Like, I don't need to hear like your commentary about like, and will you be able to protect the world from the rings of Mordor or something? You know what I mean? Like, it's just show us the game, man.
But
just show.
You know whose fault
nobody
that
else.
is?
Nobody talks like this.
You know whose fault that is? It's Todd Howard. Because I remember when they showed off the Skyrim showcase. Back before that came out, was like, I feel that set the tone for audiences whooping and cheering and reacting to game developers showing off their fantastical new product. It really is a bizarre thing that they sort of built this rock star culture around it, and they've kind of taken it too far, I think.
Well, the year after that Bethesda one we were referring to was the one where they literally had nothing to show, and they were showing like mobile games and stuff. And I mean, there was like articles after were like, were Bethesda planting crowd members? Like this, there will be 20 stages at launch with this mobile game.
Woo! Yeah! Oh my god, I love it. Yeah.
Just like, no, like this, they were reacting to it as if it was the, Starfield gameplay had come out, you know what I mean? Which still hasn't happened. But anyway,
Yeah, we'll get to that. But
we'll get to that.
Even
but yeah, there's
even just
any,
little
any other
things
standouts?
like now. It's not even necessarily E3, but like the build up to the PS5 launch was kind of weird and not as exciting as the PS4. And they did the Road to PS5 event, which again,
the Mark Cerny Power Hour,
and they had like fake moving silhouettes of an audience.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was COVID times, I suppose.
But why did they feel the need to like insert like a fake silhouettes of an audience that wasn't there? That's so bizarre.
Yeah, that's.
I love it though.
There's just it's great, But I mean, even like let's say, all fun and games, and there are funny moments. But I mean, the last Sony press conference was the oh, my phone. Oh, vibrations in the thing that's going on. Do not disturb. So the last Sony one, because they've been absent for the past few years, which is, a real shame, to be honest. I mean, that's maybe a bit of Sony ponyism, but it is a real shame because they closed the event out, other than Nintendo doing a direct like 2 days later. But they closed the event out always for a reason. They were the big guns.
Main event.
But anyway, the last event, people kind of like talk trash on it online and stuff, was the 4 games they showed. And it was Last of Us with extended gameplay, and it was in the barn, and he was there performing the soundtrack, and then they moved to the other theater, and it was Ghost of Tsushima, and then it was
well, I think the main issue that people had was the pacing of it, because they had to get people to move to the different venues, and then they cut to like a panel just being, okay, well, I guess we're waiting for the next game.
Yeah, for sure. Like minus that wait, I loved the I loved
still
that
thought
press
the
conference.
actual-
Like 4 games,
cool.
Incredible vertical slices of the games. We were seeing full gameplay and a new trailer.
It sold Ghost of Tsushima.
Spider-Man closed out. Ghost, and what was the other game?
Last of Us 2, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, and
there
God
was
of War?
one more. No, had God of War come out?
Horizon? I can't remember. No,
I don't remember. There was definitely one more, and it was also great, and we can't remember. But yeah, no, it was like, it was just something different. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was, all these press conferences had been the same for, so long. And, it was just like, nah, here's something different. But what I will say is, and we will get to it, we'll sort of, now that we have our Xboxes, there's a sort of a refreshed interest in the Xbox press conference, and which is quite nice, because we used to kind of watch that going like, haha, you got no games, and to a certain extent they still don't. But
but I mean, they've in the intervening years since the great 2013 fall for Xbox, they have been clawing back themselves, and every year trying to just make it about the games. But unfortunately, their problem until very recently is that they've just really struggled to build up convincing catalogue of like interesting exclusive games and kind of reasons to be on the Xbox platform. I know that it probably stings for big Xbox fans to hear, but truth hurts, man. Like, but they're getting there. I hope they are.
It's one of the. I hope they are. I mean, they made all those acquisitions a couple of years ago. I think that was maybe 2019 or something. The last like live press conference, I remember they really announced, a bunch of team acquisitions, and that's awesome. And obviously they've just got Bethesda, which, as we now know when we come to talking about it, their games are going to be exclusive to the system. But exclusive to Xbox hasn't really meant console exclusive for a very long time. It's console and PC. I understand it. I think it's smart. I think it makes sense. But it's not like this is the only place to play these games. And of course, Sony has recently dabbled in PC releases, but it's not day one. It's not even year one in a lot of cases.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that obviously with Xbox now, they are definitely trying to be more of like, oh, okay, it's Xbox as a service. The Game Pass is their thing.
It's more consumer friendly, but is it as profitable? But Microsoft's Microsoft. They can spend
Yeah,
as much
like
money as they want,
the financial side
so
of it doesn't even matter to them. They're just trying to do whatever they can to build up a thing that is appealing as a product, and that just means that, well, if you're into consoles and getting decent value and just playing the games on that, then here you go. Here's Xbox on Xbox, but you can also get it on PC. And I don't know. I kind of almost not really. I can separate it, but I can see why people who they might look at that and be like, even if it's on PC as well, then I don't know. There's like a mindset thing there. But
yeah, well, yeah. Well, let's talk. Let's jump into E3 2021. I mean, if we think of anything else that's funny, and we can go back and reminisce. But we've broken down the shows. Top level, though, I'll have to say, like, it was a relatively uninteresting E3. This is all
not the best year.
Fully all personal opinion. I think Sony was, Sony presence was very much missing, more so than ever before.
Yes, well,
I understand if they don't have anything to show, don't be there. And I think that can go for a lot of these companies that didn't have much to show, but were still there.
I guess they're kind of now locked into this rhythm of. It's kind of sad because who knows? In the coming years, they might do events again where it just aligns, where they've got a lot to talk about at once.
Yeah.
They might do something like that again, but they are now definitely going for this kind of like. Yeah, we're the shit now. We're going to do things on our own terms and trickle stuff out, okay? Yeah. We don't actually, we just do it on our own terms, trickle it out.
Yeah, just littling off. And to be honest, it's not as exciting in one go, but it's a more of kind of steady stream, to get a Ratchet and Clank State of Play before the game came out was nice to see. Do you know what I mean? It was a nice, like, random Thursday afternoon thing to watch. I mean, it's not quite the same as here's the big event, here's trailer after trailer, but maybe we just need to get used to that. But we broke it down into the shows that we watched. We watched, pretty much all the big ones. Didn't watch like the PC gaming show or anything like that, but it's not really relevant to us. The only one that you missed that I did watch was the Jeff Keighley's kickoff event, the summer Games Fest.
I saw like a few little bits, but there was like a couple of nice little things that came out of that, but not too much, right?
No, not too much. I mean, I had 3 things on there. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was quite interesting to me. Obviously being a Borderlands fan and kind of having a high fantasy take on Borderlands. The Borderlands 2 had a DLC called the Assault on Dragon's Keep. It was like a high fantasy DLC world, and Tiny Tina was playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons with the other characters, and they were narrating things, and as something would happen in the game for you, it was kind of coming, the characters in the narration were sort of in the middle of their Dungeons and Dragon games, and it was kind of acting it out at the same time. It was really creative. It was really fun. It was a fan favorite. It makes sense that they're doing this. It's not officially a Borderlands game, although it will, be very much sort of, I'm guessing, built on the exact same engine. It's definitely got that same kind of graphical style. But as far as I'm aware from the information that we've had from it, it is more of like an RPG looter shooter, which I know there is obviously RPG elements to Borderlands, but as in fully customizable, create your own character and things like that. So a bit more in depth.
You know me, I'm all about changing things up.
Yes, absolutely. So
I don't play Borderlands, so I've basically
that's absolutely fine. The next thing that I want to talk about was the Death Stranding director's cut coming to PS5. Obviously, that's really just like a remaster or like a sort of upgrade of a game that we've played. However, with more content, that's fine. You've played it,
Death Stranding.
I thought you played like 20 hours of it.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I feel like if I don't, I didn't play enough though. No, I don't even think it was 20 hours.
Fair enough.
10.
fair enough. But you've experienced some of it. Was that a door?
Was that door not open? Well, I opened the window because I was warm.
Fair.
It's closed now.
Fair. Enjoy your crash bangs and wallops. I'm not going to. We're recording this far too close to like 10. It's 10 o'clock right now, so I'm definitely not editing out any bumps and bruises for sure. Wouldn't have anyway. But the trailer was quite funny. I mean, I'm not obviously a Metal Gear fan, or I don't have any experience with Metal Gear in the same way, but there was definite nods and homages to Metal Gear Solid.
Colin Moriarty is convinced that it's actually a subliminal message to everyone saying Metal Gear Solid is coming back in some way. Things have been smoothed over, sort of thing. Which I hope that's right. I don't know. He's not sure what he even really means by that, like what form that'll take, or whether Kojima is back on board with Konami in some way, shape, or form. But if it is related to anything Metal Gear Solid, then I'll take it.
On Reddit, though, it's quite the opposite. Him getting in the box the wrong way round.
Ah, right, yeah, it's him putting it back on the shelf, yeah.
He's literally putting the box back on the shelf. People are taking from that it is literally just shelving Metal Gear,
No, whatever. Actually,
and I know
right,
the company. I know the company in Death Stranding. The Fragile is a character, and the company's called Fragile. But the fact that the box is marked Fragile as well, like it's still that Metal Gear is like a fragile subject for Kojima or something like that. Who knows? This is the thing. Like, this is the problem. Like, the conversations pre-Death Stranding on the internet about what it's going to be. Is it going to be linked to Metal Gear? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? And people just set themselves up for disappointment when it was its own thing. And I love the fact that it was its own thing, because that means I got to experience it and enjoy it a lot more. But I know for a lot of Metal Gear fans that was not what they were looking for from Kojima, and that's fine. I'm excited about a PS5 version. It's not going to be a day one thing. If it's a free upgrade on the disc version of the PS4 or the PS4 version, I'll grab it. If not, I probably won't grab it. I was just interested by the trailer more than anything, as well. And then there was one that I actually found quite interesting, and it was on the sort of Xbox splash screen at the end of their conference, but it was announced at the kickoff event, and it was a game, I don't know if you saw it, called the Anacrusis. It's day one on Game Pass, and it's like a co-op shooter. Effectively, it'll be like just a horde mode kind of thing. But it's got this kind of really interesting, like, sort of 70s retro modern art style, kind of like a la Fallout, but like, or maybe, even reminded me of like the old levels of Aperture in Portal 2 when you go deeper down into the facility, but as if they were like current day. I don't really know how to explain it, but that really, to be honest, and you'll see this is quite a trend, on my notes here, as soon as anything really said day one with Game Pass, because we've now got it, I was kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll give that a shot. So it was...
that was definitely
I don't know how much of these would have really stood out to us otherwise in like any other year. But that's the glory. I mean, that's what Game Pass is for.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Game Pass, which we will go into next time a lot more.
Yeah, let's not go down that tangent just yet. That's another episode.
Yeah, no, I was aware of that game, but it was such a smorgasbord of sort of middle of the road games flying about this E3 that I didn't catch enough of it to be able to comment.
That's fair. Well, let's move on to one that we did both watch together, and that was the Ubisoft press conference. I mean, of course, at the Jeff Keighley event, just before we move on, there was more games shown, of course, but these were the ones that were really kind of standing out to me watching it. Ubisoft, your sigh of dismay.
We don't talk about weeb shit, so if you're in a weeb shit, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, well,
sorry,
definitely not. Just when you get to that later, but yeah, Ubisoft was the definition of you don't always need to do a press conference. Ubisoft always have like so many games on the go, and they still technically do, but it really was just Tom Clancy. They spent 20 minutes on Rainbow, not Quarantine anymore.
Extraction.
They've changed it to. And it was just, I mean, I'm sure that is getting people excited. I do not want to take that away from anyone, but from the sort of what I've seen online afterwards, that it really was, and actually I think I said this when we were watching it, this should be an add-on game mode, kind of like Zombies is in COD for Rainbow Six Siege. And then it turns out there was a Zombies Horde mode added for a limited time. It was like 3-week event, and then it was taken away. And now they're just putting it into like a full-priced game. Of course, there'll probably be more depth to it and more content than there would have been. But a Horde mode's a Horde mode. You don't really need that much depth and content as long as the loop itself is fun, because that's what people are playing those games for. And just to dedicate as much time as they did to an hour long, I mean, it was like an hour long press conference, and that was 20 minutes of it on this game. Like, that's just too much, man. That's just too much.
There's just less and less there's becoming things that I can grasp onto with Ubisoft. They just annoy me with each passing year more and more.
Yeah.
They are the ultimate in what I would call like lowest common denominator gaming, and these new Rainbow Six games are just other examples of that. They just don't interest me at all. They're just more shooters to me, live service shooters or whatever, or in that vein. I don't know. There's too much. Like, there's...
Interestingly, though, we did play through the Division 2 together and did enjoy that.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of like probably the best example of that type of thing, and I absolutely got my fill. Don't need any more for probably 5 years.
No. For sure, 100%. I'm in complete agreement with you. They showed off more of that game, Riders Republic, which I'm not even counting as like an announcement, because it had been a previous Ubisoft.
That was the thing. That was most
anyway.
of Ubisoft's thing, was games we already knew about. So.
Games, and I was sold on Riders Republic when we first saw it. I liked the idea of it. I enjoyed the idea of Steep. It just wasn't quite enough.
Wasn't quite there, yeah.
Wasn't quite there, but it seems like this has a lot of cool social elements. I'm sure it's something that we'll play together at some point.
The sheer kind of realistic, kinetic looking gameplay of fucking extreme mountain biking, like that kind of like really tight cornering, and it looks fun to actually just control that, and that's something a bit different in terms of,
and that's literally one slice of the game. There's a lot more game to it, but the fact is that I could see myself even just being drawn to that one side of it. And I've still got the rest of this game to try, around it. But this core might be really, really fun, which is great. Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope. Wind was kind of knocked out of its sales. That got leaked earlier in the day. The same day, that would have been quite a nice. Like, looking forward to that. I'm sure I will love it because, I enjoyed the first one a lot. So that's cool. I'm happy to see that. But the biggest takeaway from the Ubisoft conference was, and I'm not alone here, as I found out later, when big Evesy boy came on at the end, and he was like, "We are working with this massive media partner, and we are making this beautiful world and this beautiful dangerous world." And for those who maybe don't know, the Star Wars license was not taken away from EA, but sort of opened up to more publishers and developers, and Ubisoft have announced that they are just working on an open world Star Wars game. No information on it, but if it's kind of got the Ubisoft checkbox thing that that I have enjoyed in the past, and it's Star Wars, totally up my street. I'm happy with it. So I'm sitting here with you going, Star Wars. I don't think they were going to do it. Star Wars. Here we go. Yeah. And then sort of, it's like a foresty planet, and then big Avatar McGee pops up, and that was just like the ultimate, just like punch in the gut E3 moment of expecting one thing,
not for me,
and just getting the other. I mean, no, but this is the thing, right? I bet you it would still be great, like an Avatar game. It's a beautiful world. They're not. It's not a good film. Sorry, it's the highest grossing film. Name me one character from that film. You can't. I think the main character is called Jack. I could have probably guessed that by looking at him, but anyway. But yeah, a video game might work really well in there, and I'm still really interested. But
it's also Ubisoft, though, so it might not work at all.
True. But to go from thinking that it's going to be Star Wars to being Avatar is sort of just the meme of all memes, kind of.
That is actually pretty funny.
Avatar, just continuing to claw its way into pop culture. I mean, like, it's not. I don't know. It was an upsetting one, and I'm not alone in that. And a lot of people that I ended up like watching clips of people reacting to that same bit like live, and they were all like, "Oh yeah, here we go, Star Wars," and then just Avatar, and I was like, "Uh-oh." So yeah, that one, Ubisoft overall was a really, really big disappointment.
Crap.
It was absolutely crap. It really was. Have you got anything more to say about Ubisoft?
Not really any more than what I said at the start. I just find them annoying now. I think they've ruined most of their franchises, ripped the soul out of what they were. Like I said, lowest common denominator gaming, just rinse, repeat live service, or it's like the typical generic Ubisoft open world thing. Even with Far Cry 6, yes, looks like there's going to be some good scenes with good performances from Big Giancarlo, but that will be offset massively by the tonal dissonance of what the game actually is, which is silly, cartoony, just causey shooter stuff, which doesn't interest me at all. So I probably won't play it.
Yes,
it's not like it's not enough. Because at the end of the day, the story that's going to be in the game, it's nothing new. It's nothing that I need to experience. Like, oh my god, did you experience that? It's going to be based off of Cuban guerrilla warfare in a very kind of surface level way. So I probably won't play it.
Yeah, like I get that. I don't know what they could really do to. This sounds really redundant, but to make that interesting. Of course, I think it still will have its moments. Of course, I'm toying with still playing it because I really enjoyed Far Cry 5. I know you haven't played that, but the story of that one got weird and really unexpected at the end, with that kind of whole like really religious kind of cultish kind of thing.
I was just burned out. Like I really enjoyed 3 and 4. I was just burned out on Far Cry by the time 5 came along. Yeah. I was like, oh, it's just more Far Cry. Nah, I've had enough.
Oh, for sure. And I didn't play 4. I played 3, didn't play 4. So I was kind of ready for it. So it just hit at the right time. But it still had a bit of weirdness, but not nearly the same amount of kind of like Just Cause feel. You had it was weird enough that you could like bring a literal grizzly bear around with you as an ally. But it actually, in all honesty, I never really clocked that as being weird. I just kind of... It was a bit of a far cry from reality. But this definitely, as soon as like you get this like awesome scene with Giancarlo Esposito, and it's like really intense, and he's acting so well, and then it cuts to like the guy that makes you all your weapons, and he's like, "Hey man, I made you a jetpack with rockets on the back."
Yeah, no, they just seem to have ramped up the sort of zany kind of teehee stuff, and I'm just like that. And to be honest, because now that I've mentioned it, it's like this year's E3 highlights such a kind of pendulum for me, because it's like I feel like there's so many games and developers now that are tapping into that very thing, that kind of I guess it's probably mostly kids. They're appealing to kids with that sort of thing now, where it's just like teehee, zany stuff. Yeah, cool. Like, look at all these diverse, colourful things going on at the expense of trying to tell good stories or create interesting things.
It takes us back. It's a perfect sort of parallel to our episode last week, where we were talking about the importance of storytelling in video games, and it's just not. It just wasn't on show this E3. Because anything that might have a story to it, that we just saw none of it. We didn't see anything. You know what I mean? We saw a CGI trailer for Starfield, which we'll talk about in a moment, but that might have an incredible story, but we can't take anything.
It also
from
might
that,
suck because we have no idea. We can't trust Bethesda anymore.
No.
With that being said, right, and my disappointment at kind of how much of the industry is heading towards, like I said, I like to call it lowest common denominator gaming, which is just my preference, and I don't know, maybe I'm just getting too old for this shit, but with that being said, there's still, I think you're going to see more of a divide where, those who want to go that way will have to just look in that, a bit like, again, we always draw parallels to other art forms like music. There was a smattering of typically smaller games, mainly from the mic, because there were so many games in the Microsoft conference where, I can look to them and be like, that's my kind of game. It's actually thoughtful. It's trying to show something a bit more different, a bit more different. That was a terrible sentence, but like maybe it's, it's fucking just not kind of your run of the mill flashbang whiz thing, like just because I've got the list up here, but whilst I'm on this rant, the examples specifically from Microsoft, Somerville, I think it's maybe pronounced, and 12 Minutes. I really like the look of those two. They're definitely my kind of games.
For sure.
And then you've got, the kind of Atomic Heart was quite weird, kind of quite strange looking, possibly horror-ish shooter. So, there's things to grasp onto for me there.
For sure. Well, what I was thinking, let's skip over Xbox and Bethesda because I feel like that's where we're going to be the most positive, so we can end on a more positive note.
We'll come back to it.
We'll come back to it, and we will talk a little bit more in depth about these things because actually of our list here, it's night and day the amount of stuff. I mean, it's like at least, it's like 4 times as much in the Xbox section as we've had in anything else. Square Enix was a waste of time. They showed Guardians of the Galaxy. I was interested straight away. This is weird though. So I wrote down Guardians of the Galaxy as it came up. I was like, oh, cool, Guardians of the Galaxy. And then they showed more and more of it. And then I was wanting to rescind my initial excitement.
I could tell. Like the longer it went on, I was just like, "You're not into this anymore."
No, man. You saw me earlier. I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, Guardians of the Galaxy." And then they show. I mean, it's not that it looks bad. It literally just looks like the Avengers game, which has no real substance, but just not a live service version, which I suppose is better. But the gameplay loop of the Avengers game, I played the beta for it. And experienced everything that I was going to experience very, very quickly. And I just get this weird feeling that that's exactly what it's going to be in the Guardians game. I'd love for them to prove me wrong. I'm open and willing. I'm not closed off to the idea. But it's just, so far, they showed an extended bit of gameplay. And I was like, okay, so it's the Avengers game, but it's Guardians. It's a Guardians DLC for the Avengers game with some choice-based stuff. Super reductive, that's really that's not fair probably to the game, but that's just what they showed me. That was my reaction the more I saw of it. So not interested as it stands just now. Reviews could come out and be amazing.
They won't.
And that might change my mind.
It'll be in the 6s and 7s, mark my words.
Right, okay, you heard it here first. So we get Square Enix. There was nothing else with Square Enix for us. They said that they were putting Final Fantasy 1 through 6 on mobile.
Final Fantasy. We got really fucking clobbered over the head with that one, didn't we?
Yeah.
How many Final Fantasy things were there? Like 5?
Yeah, this is the thing. There'll be someone there that will watch that Square Enix conference and it is exactly for them and they're super hyped on it, but it's just not for us. And then we literally just finished watching the Nintendo conference, and I'm a big Nintendo fan. I know Lewis isn't as much.
No, but honestly, because going into the Nintendo thing, I was hoping for the sort of thing that would, maybe not necessarily drive me to be like, right, I'm gonna go and get into Nintendo now, but I actually want my head to be turned because I find that interesting. I'm like, all right, show me what you got, and
they did not.
I know they do have a kind of a roster of things where, you know, it's not like I'm totally and utterly 100% disinterested in them. It's just
No, of course.
they really need to. I don't know. I don't know what they need to do to be able to get me. I don't know if they ever can.
This is the thing.
This one did not help.
If to me, there'll be people out there that absolutely love that direct. I was looking on Twitter afterwards. I know people enjoyed it. It was just not for me. It was better than the last Nintendo Direct, which was like 14 months after the previous one, and that was a real disappointment. That was awful. Yeah, this one wasn't great. Like it wasn't. I mean, the rumors of a Switch Pro or like an enhanced Switch, nothing. I mean, even it has been. When I'm actually going to look this up to hammer home my point. We still don't have a Mario Kart game native to Switch. Mario Kart 8 came out in 2014, and all the Switch has for Mario Kart is that game plus the DLC
Ported, yeah,
and like a remastered port. And don't get me wrong, it's the best Mario Kart game. Don't get me wrong, it is absolutely. But there's only so much. I mean, 2014, I played it on the Wii U. It was one of the only Wii U games I had, so it wasn't even new to me. Like when I got my Switch, and
wait, you had a Wii U?
Do you not remember? I bought it on the tour.
I didn't remember that at all.
You don't remember that?
No.
You don't remember that? It was on the first tour. We were in Coventry. And we went into a cash converters.
I remember that.
And the only reason I bought it was because they hadn't put a price on it yet, and it came with Mario Kart 8 and the Smash Brothers for Wii U. Both of those, as you know, with Nintendo games, never lose their value. You know, these games, they stay even pre-owned at like £40. And I was like, how much for the whole thing? And he was like, £90. Like he just like
Jesus,
spat out a number. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Like these games, if I went and bought them secondhand, would be like £70 to buy both of them.
Pretty
so I was
crazy.
like, cool, let's go for it.
Yeah.
I bought it, played Mario Kart, played Smash, bought Wind Waker HD because Wind Waker was my jam on the GameCube, and then traded it in. That was me. Just played all them and then just got rid of it because it was not a good console at all. And I love the Switch. I do love the Switch, and I know for a lot of people the Switch is like an indie machine, and I do have a lot of indie games on there. But at the end of the day, what's really drawing me to my Switch personally is your Zeldas, is your Mario games, your sort of bigger budget Nintendo exclusives. At the end of the day, the Switch really for me is an exclusive machine. I'm not going to pick up. I've got in the Nintendo Direct today. There was like the Doom Eternal DLC. Never going to play it. Never going to play Doom on my Switch. Never. Got it on the PS5 version. The update's coming out. It'll be 120 frames per second. And it's like 1548p, whatever that is. That's what they've said it's going to be or something like that.
All right.
It was a really random number that they're putting to it. But I'm never going to play this on that. Then, and then things like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 coming to Switch. We knew that already. Looks awful. Visually, but if it controls well, I'd love to be able to have a version of it on the go on a plane. That's kind of where my Switch lies for me. Is the beautiful simplistic art style of a Breath of the Wild, of a Mario Odyssey. But these games came out. I mean, it's 5 years into the Switch's life cycle. These games came out 4 to 5 years ago, and that's it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's not been enough. Since then, there's been smaller things. There's been like Luigi's Mansion. There's been, there's been remake and port after port after port after port of other games. The Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury came out this year. That was awesome. That had some new content in there. I really loved that. But there was just none of that excitement here. Except, I mean, this is the thing. Breath of the Wild 2 trailer at the end, that one more thing kind of thing. I'm super excited. I'm going to play that day one. I'm going to love that game because I loved Breath of the Wild. But I'm not surprised by anything that I saw in that.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously knew that was coming, so
It was, that was like, it's awesome. Like, I really don't want to sound too negative on it. It is awesome that that we got to see a little bit more of it. It's cool to see that there's a sort of verticality to Hyrule now, that there's this same kind of open world, but then they're really sort of effectively just putting a layer on top of it. It's just going to change up the way the game's played. And I enjoy that, but at the end of the day, we knew Breath of the Wild 2 was coming. They did the teaser trailer for it, a year and a half ago. Mario Golf, it's coming out in like a week and a bit. They dedicated a chunk to that. I've already been sold on that game. I'm going to play it. I'm going to enjoy it. The only two games that were of any interest to me that I hadn't heard of before was Metroid Dread. I've never played a 2D Metroid game before.
Looked pretty cool.
It looked really cool. I did enjoy that. I've played Metroid Prime before on my GameCube.
Like that's almost like something that I would play,
Yes.
Almost.
Yeah, I get what you mean, almost. And then Mario Party Superstars. Like, I love the fact that, I love Mario Party, but the problem with the current version of it is that it's very limited in what's in there. There's 4 boards. So to get a bunch of sort of remastered and sort of new content for Mario Party, it's its own game, but I'm happy with it. I'm glad of that. Kerry was watching it, desperate for Animal Crossing news. I think it's weird that there was no Animal Crossing there. This has been the biggest year for Animal Crossing ever, and the fact that there was none at the conference. It's their highest selling game of all time, like Nintendo. Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I mean the lockdown had a big part to do with that. Well,
exactly, but don't you just figure that the vast majority of the sales of the game are not people that would have been watching this, or even knew that this was a thing. Like Nintendo Direct, what does that even mean? Like,
yeah, I know.
Surely that is so they don't. They probably feel like they don't need to. It's like, well, the money where that lies with Animal Crossing, it has nothing to do with the people who are watching this or interested in actual like full on gamer shit. So.
Well, absolutely, and the Animal Crossing fans are crying out for new content, but
are they?
Yeah, but the
even the casuals.
The thing is, no, the diehards.
Yeah, but they don't matter. But how many are like 10,000?
But like this is the thing. Like I think that actually takes away from how feature rich Animal Crossing was at launch. To get a game that feature rich at launch. Was incredible, like, and that's so sad to say nowadays. Like, it's actually got a lot of content. We're not waiting for the roadmap afterwards, And the fact of the matter is, like, Kerry's dying for new stuff, but she's played like 250 hours of the thing. So it's like, yeah, you might be done now, but have you not had your money's worth with this? Like, that's so much content in there that you've been able to sort of suck out of that. So Nintendo was very, very Japanese. Nintendo has always, obviously, it's the most obvious statement in the world. The Western Nintendo fans get excited when it's not that Japanesey, and of course there's the Western weebs and stuff that love that stuff and get excited by Shin Megami Tensei 5 and Danganronpa and stuff.
Can't relate.
That just switch off so hard to that stuff. But that's just me. That's what it is. It seems to be that really Nintendo Directs do go one way or the other. You're getting a Western Direct or you're getting a Japanese Direct, really, at the end of the day. There are crossover, of course, but nothing too exciting from that there. So let's just finish off. Well, I say finish off. We'll talk a while with this. But Xbox and Bethesda, and this will actually lead us in quite nicely to the next episode where we are going to be sort of talking about, our first, yours in a while and my first ever experience with an Xbox, what I mean, like going, which is going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to that. But this was definitely the highlight of the weekend, the Xbox and Bethesda showcase.
Pretty good.
I mean, it wasn't amazing. Like, it was good, but I think it was like the best of I think compared to what the rest of the shows were, it's going to look amazing. But compared to the best PlayStation conference, it's nowhere close.
Yeah, not close.
I mean, let's just go through some of the games. They put out a CG trailer for Starfield with a date.
Getting there. Fucking hell.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you seen some of the articles, like Todd Howard's interviews afterwards with this?
No.
It's like Skyrim in space.
Oh, he actually said that?
Yes. Or those are like the quotes that have been used, and whether that was exactly Todd Howard or
hilarious.
those are the headlines, and then it's a Han Solo simulator. So
Oh, he is
cool.
He has just gone into full pander mode these days. Wow.
Oh, he totally has. But I mean, like literally, if you were to ask me, hey, what's Starfield? I would literally have told you in 2018, it's Skyrim in space. It's Skyrim in space.
Well, that's what everyone. That's what everyone was expecting. So
that's no surprise. So they, in my eyes, they showed us nothing about Starfield. We know it's a console exclusive. That's fine now for us. It's day one Game Pass. That's awesome for us. We will check it out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's not anything that interesting to me right now. Show me gameplay. Show me how this new creation engine is looking, and I'll get excited if I'm into it. But I just don't hold out any hope. Their track record of late has not given me anything to be hopeful for. Nah. Is Creation Engine 2 really going to be something that blows me away? And the fact that even like Unreal Engine 5 in their very dorky demos that they've gone into, which are obviously for developers, has already kind of blown me away with the possibilities. I feel like already Creation Engine 2 has a lot to live up to, and we've not even seen it yet, which is interesting. Yeah. What do you have to say about Starfield that hasn't been said?
Well, exactly. I mean, there's just so little that you can still say. I mean, it might surprise us and be something a bit different and have just a really cool. I was going to say world there, but I guess it wouldn't. It's not going to be world to explore, but whatever it is, if it does its thing in a good way. Good for you, Bethesda. Until that time, we're just going to keep saying that your games aren't as good as Witcher 3, so...
Yeah. They're going to release Starfield, and then like Witcher 4 will come out. Well, actually, I was about to say, but CD Projekt aren't actually in the highest of regards either, but because of Cyberpunk. But yeah, anyway, Starfield... I'm glad that people are excited about it, but they really showed us nothing. They didn't show us anything of substance. They gave us a release date, which is awesome. It's not going to hit it. It's going to get delayed. Mark my words. I'd be shocked if it came out then, in all honesty. It kind of needs to come out then, but I'd still be shocked if it did. To be honest, I think if COVID wasn't a thing, I think it probably would, to be honest, because that's, 4 years after they announced it. But
how crazy is it though that we're gonna get Elder Scrolls 6 in like fucking 2026? Which will be 15 years after the previous one. It's like,
and is Elder Scrolls even culturally relevant by that point? I think it'll ride on its coattails, but I don't think it's. Who knows?
Such a weird situation
for them. Bethesda.
Yeah.
This isn't the Bethesda episode. Yeah, like I'm kind of looking through my list here. Sea of Thieves stuff. Cool. We've not played Sea of Thieves yet. I'm quite interested to try it. We'll try it together.
Yeah, no.
Hopefully have a laugh around pirate stuff. And the fact that we were like, oh, it's going to be Jack Sparrow. And then it was actually Jack Sparrow. And we said it as a joke was quite funny.
Well, that guy did a very, very good Johnny Depp impression. I'm very impressed.
We were convinced for a moment that it was. Battlefield 2042 gameplay came out. I'm stoked on that for sure. But again, the trailer for they announced it in their own time, so it wasn't even like. I mean, it's awesome that we saw a gameplay trailer at E3 or Xbox's conference, but we also knew the game. It wasn't like oh my goodness, we've not seen anything of this. We knew it was coming. A very EA thing to do though, like kind of. Sort of take the wind out their own sails by announcing it like 4 days before and then a gameplay trailers later. Interestingly though, on that trailer, I really enjoyed the trailer. There is literally 4 frames of guns being fired. It's like a 3-minute trailer and there's like no gunfire. Someone on Twitter that I follow edited the trailer down to all the gunplay and it was 2 seconds long on Twitter. I thought it was really funny.
That's quite funny.
Still sold on it for sure. You mentioned 12 Minutes and Somerville. 12 Minutes was really interesting to me. That has James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, I'm expecting big things from them.
Top down, I guess it is literally just in 12-minute chunks, I believe. But again, we've seen this game before.
Oh,
so
did we?
That was nothing new. Yeah, no, but we have. That's been at conferences past. So yeah, I'm still sold on it. I'm still going to play it, and it's Game Pass, which is awesome. So we'll play it day one. But I'm just looking at my notes here. It changed Halo Infinite to Hello Infinite.
Hello Infinite. How are you doing?
Hello Infinite. So yes, Hello Infinite is coming out this year. They did not show any more story stuff. They just showed multiplayer stuff. Again, I know that's huge. Kind of felt like it was buried in the middle of the show, though.
Well, I sort of posed at the time, hopefully for a good reason. Like, as in, from this year going forward, Microsoft are actually going to make an effort to move away from just living on the legacy of their legacy games.
Just being the Halo guys. Yeah,
I like to think they are making a conscious decision to showcase a more diverse catalogue of games and just moving on, because Halo, clearly Halo is just going to keep being Halo. So, there needs to be new things, and I think they are trying at least.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with Halo multiplayer. I know it's huge. My main concern is that it paved the way for multiplayer to come, and it's now just going to feel a bit dated. But again, there'll be Xbox fans listening that will vehemently disagree with me, and that's fine. I'll save it for the next episode, but I have actually been playing and enjoying Halo for the first time. But I'll save that for next episode. So I've got more of an interest in this game now than ever before, if Halo keeps my attention through the rest of the Master Chief Collection.
Shocking.
As well. Shocking, I know, but I've heard that it gets worse. But I'm wondering if it will get worse for me. But I'm wondering if like a more modern feel when we get to like 4 and when I get to 4 and 5, or let's say 5, is enough to kind of sort of pique my interest. I don't know. We'll see.
Played through 3 and 4 when they were current.
Yep.
I don't remember a single second from their campaigns. Not a single second.
Interesting.
I don't remember anything.
Cool.
I remember some fun moments in Halo 3 multiplayer. Didn't play 4 multiplayer because everyone was gone by that point. Everyone had moved on. None of my friends were playing, so I didn't even do that. But the only decent memory I have of Halo is a little bit of 3 multiplayer, which was fun for a bit at the time. But even then, I didn't enjoy it as much as like Gears multiplayer, because that was more up my street, because it was kind of
for sure
what it was. But
yeah,
I don't know. Like we're still saying that when Infinite drops, we will play through it co-op, because that's just always an inherently fun thing to do. So.
Well, I think it does. The social aspect always makes games just better. It could be the worst story in the world. Like,
maybe 5 as well.
Maybe 5. I'll let you know if I get there. Yeah. I'm hoping that I do get there, because I have to say I'm on Halo 2 just now, and I am enjoying myself.
Yeah, don't let me stop you. Don't let me put you off.
No, for sure. And this is the thing. Like, I'm not experiencing these games multiplayer at all. I've jumped into a few multiplayer games, and I get it. Like, I understand it, but I mean, even like a polished. Someone would argue not polished, toxic COD fans, but like COD the fish. No, toxic COD fans would say like, the multiplayer now is awful, and I do enjoy it, but at the same time, like Warzone has like dominated like any enjoyment of like a team deathmatch or a domination kind of gameplay kind of infinite respawn thing. So I don't even think that Halo multiplayer, it could be the best Halo multiplayer in the world, and if I'm playing with a bunch of people, I'd probably have fun, but I don't think it's going to be something that like I'd be constantly going back to by myself. But I might be wrong. I'll see. It's free to play. It's which is cool. It's on Game Pass, obviously. So it's no extra for us. But you know, what crossed my mind was that we play Halo Infinite, and if there's like a drought of games, I cancel Game Pass, but I keep the and I jump back into my Xbox to play the multiplayer because it's free to play. Like, you know,
You never
it's
know.
good that they're giving these options. These are the sort of thoughts that are going through my mind. There was only a couple more bits and pieces for me, and then we can kind of kick it over to you. But I mean, literally, this is the definition of because it's on Game Pass. But Flight Simulator, we'll probably download it and then go cool, and then never play it ever again.
Fly about for 10 minutes and yeah.
Go to, fly into Glasgow Airport and then go, can I see my flat from here? And then just stop playing.
I promise I didn't crash deliberately like a terrorist.
No. But what actually did stand out for sure, was Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah,
that was literally the biggest pop for us sitting on the couch.
that was a good one. That was like the only kind of proper. Yeah, look at this.
Yeah, like woo, like that was, but that's kind of indicative of this E3 because it's just. I don't mean to take anything away because I've just been playing Forza Horizon 4 with Game Pass, and we'll talk about that next week or next episode. And I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I really, really like it. But when that's the biggest pop of E3, I don't mean to take anything away from the Forza fans, but that's not a great E3 when that's like there was nothing that got Lewis and I like up on our feet like dancing about like like Skate getting announced and stuff like the new Skate game and all that.
Or really just I feel like this kind of touches on the rant that I had earlier, but I feel like there's becoming a bit of a drought of when you would see a new trailer for like a new IP and it's something that's just trying to be different, trying to be maybe quite a bit serious and just like, right, we mean business with this new IP. I just feel like all the new IPs coming out are just like Redfall. It's like, okay, it's another co-op, nothing
Redfall,
shooter. Like,
obviously,
what?
I've got that on the notes here. But at the same time, anything new IP, we've not seen gameplay. CG trailer. That's it.
I didn't like that CG trailer at all.
No. I mean, like the concept of it, I'm interested in a co-op like vampire shooter thing. Cool.
Another co-op
fair.
shooter. Like
I know.
I'm not fooled by your trendy typography, Redfall.
Fair.
Sorry.
No, that is fair. That is totally fair. It is saturated, but they didn't show. Like, I don't know what that game is. That could be an RTS for all I know. Do you know what I mean? Like that trailer didn't show us anything. There wasn't even like fake gameplay, like over the shoulder. Is it third person? Is it first person? Oh, you know what I mean? Like it literally could be anything from that trailer if you really think about it. Things like Halo, we got a story trailer, but we know what Halo is. So that's nothing new. Forza Horizon 5, they showed gameplay, but if you just told me Forza Horizon 5 and it's in Mexico, here's the way that it looks. Yep, I get it now. Like, I know what it is. Battlefield 2042, yep, it's Battlefield. It's massive scope Battlefield. That's awesome. I'm into it. I'm sold. But in terms of, like, new things, do we really know what Redfall looks like?
I feel like I have a pretty good idea in my head.
Do you think it's going to be third person?
Well, I mean, it doesn't really come into it for me. I mean, it's like because it's a. Well, no, I mean, that's going to be.
Well, to me, it does come in
like a Back for Blood type thing, no?
Well, if it's Back for Blood, yeah,
but with vampires, I mean, I don't know.
But if it's third person, I'm getting potentially a Division vibe with like campy kind of characters, like cover based and stuff. But if it's first person, I'm getting a Borderlands vibe where you've got a skill tree and you've got an action skill and you've got guns and you loot and you know what I mean, like that's where first person to third person for me is kind of the indication. But I just don't really know. I don't know unless they've come out and said like what it is since the show. But I've not seen anything.
I don't know. To me, this is a perfect example of a trailer that smacks of like gaming pop music to me. Like,
it was also too long.
Well, yes, but yeah, no. This is kind of what I alluded to earlier about the divide. I mean, I think you're seeing actually now quite a segment of the industry becoming like chart music, but for games. It's just tapping into that sort of campy, zany, quirky thing going on where the characters are all making quips straight from Disney Marvel films. I don't know. I'm over that stuff. It's not. I don't know. I'm more interested. I'm looking at the list. As like I'm much more interested in the new A Plague Tale game that's coming out, which that caused me to look on Game Pass and be like, oh yeah, that first one is on there, and that's just one that passed me by. But I'm gonna go and play that first one now, because it just passed me by. Maybe it was during my hiatus or whatever, but that's definitely like something that interesting. Very story based again. Just that's the thing that appeals to me these days. These kind of run of the mill shooters, and maybe they'll have some gimmicks to set them apart. But to me, at the end of the day, it's just that's just what they are. They're just gimmicks. So they have a lot to prove, I guess, these days. Kind of usually a shooter, if you're not a shooter, you're onto a good start for me, So,
whereas weirdly enough, I'm in my shooter renaissance, as it were, or in my, because I'm actually getting quite good at them, like compared to where I was before. So I'm actually getting enjoyment out of shooters, maybe more competitively in an online way, because of the likes of Warzone and Black Ops Cold War and stuff. That I was never good at online shooters. And now I actually find myself holding my own a little bit. So I'm kind of late to that party of enjoying that. But that's kind of, I don't want to be that basic ass gamer that's like...
Well, no, but it's hard because obviously, the easiest thing to do when making a game is putting a gun in the character's hand. Like, that's why there's so... Most games involve shooting and or killing. And I don't know. Like I'm definitely still well up for doing that because I hardly I almost don't have a choice.
You're not playing games if you don't.
I'm basically just trying to extract whatever is unique and interesting from the spate of games that are available to me, whether there's shooting in there or not. Because if something like a BioShock can come along and show me what else it's got to offer other than its shooting mechanics, then that's great,
Yeah, so, for sure.
I don't have faith in Redfall to be one of those for me.
No. To be honest, me either. I just put it because it was like new IP. We didn't see much new IP really in the grand scheme of things. We got Wonderland's new IP technically, but it's kind of in the Borderlands. But then Death Stranding was just was the director's cut. Riders Republic, yes, it's a new IP. It's kind of based off Steep though.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of
Mario Rabbids is now a franchise. Starfield, we've seen, well, we've not seen anything still, but we've heard of before. Sea of Thieves stuff, Battlefield stuff, 12 Minutes, like we said, we'd seen Halo Infinite, we'd seen Forza, as Guardians of the Galaxy. You could argue, it's the first Guardians video game, but it's didn't feel fresh and new. A Zelda sequel, it didn't feel like much in the way of anything new. I feel like we're going to be getting a lot of sequels, and I don't have a problem with that necessarily. Like, I really don't. Like, I'm looking forward to Horizon Forbidden West, and obviously Last of Us Part 2 last year was amazing. But the fact is, a game like Ghost of Tsushima came out and it was incredible and it was new IP, and I think it's just, I want more of that. I want my sequels as well, so maybe I'm being a bit hypocritical.
That's the thing. I mean, obviously I had a bit of a new IP rant there, but I can't really give examples because I don't know what I want. I want to be surprised by something that I hadn't thought of. Like, oh shit, I can do that in a game now. Cool, hadn't thought of that one.
You couldn't. Exactly. You couldn't think that. I mean, to be honest, that's why I don't have it yet, just because we're very busy this week. But Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, there's
it looks amazing.
Things in there that I'm like, It looks incredible, but also just like the fast SSD and stuff. It feels like it's gonna feel next gen, or current gen. I hate this. All through E3. Sorry, my final rant before we stop, and I can edit this podcast and post it in time. Yeah. But coming to current gen and next gen. No, it is now current gen. Next gen is now current gen. It's not next gen anymore.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of weird, isn't it?
PS4 is not current gen anymore. Literally on November, whenever it came out, was the day that PS4 stopped being current gen and PlayStation 5. Now, games aren't coming out exclusively for PS5. There was some stuff in a couple of the trailers that we were like, no mention of PS4, no mention of the old consoles. Good.
It's a bad damn time.
It's a bad damn time. But
we're definitely having more of a lag in terms of generation crossover this time, but we'll get there. It's fine.
I mean, I've not regretted my PS5 for a minute.
Not at all.
Maybe if I had like a PS4 Pro and I'd had some of these like 4K checkerboards upgrades in the past, but
totally.
We got a lot of newness out of our PS5 with those enhancements and things like that. But
being the massive dorks that we are, there's a lot to latch on to for newness and whatnot.
Right.
So, do you
have anything to add? I'm feeling quite...
Did you mention Outer Worlds 2? I just thought that was...
no, I totally forgot about that. I didn't.
It's just a nice little one as well. Because again, on Game Pass, gonna go and play the first one. I've been meaning to. I've kept threatening to play that for ever since it came out.
To play.
Well, because historically, I've always been a fan of that format of the kind of good old days of the Bethesda games before we started trashing them, and apparently, I think it's meant to be quite funny, right? So I'm in it for the comedy.
Yeah. Well, I think I played maybe 8 to 10 hours of it. Other things came around at the time, so I think I'm going to go back. It is on Game Pass, but I've got it owned on PS4, and I don't know if there's any like enhancements or anything. I don't really care, but I'll play it on PS5 if I'm going to play it again. But actually, seeing the sort of comedy of that trailer actually made me want to go back and play it again.
Because what a great trailer. That was one of my favourite trailers from E3. Just taking the piss out of kind of a lot of the things that I've been ranting about today.
It really did.
It's going to have lens flares.
In the middle of a press conference that had plenty of that as well. It was quite ironic, like that,
that's
here's
the beauty
an
of
Xbox studio making fun of the other ones in some way, shape or form. But yeah, E3 2021. Did it need to happen? Probably not, but it is what it is. So we had some laughs. We had some good times. We had some laughs.
We made the most of it.
We recorded this podcast much later than we probably needed to. If we'd known, I would have just jumped. I would have literally edited my mic in after the Nintendo one and been like...
Yeah, we were hoping for quite a mic drop Nintendo type thing. It didn't quite happen. It
didn't quite happen. Is what it is. So a fun episode nonetheless, though.
We didn't mention Devolver's thing. Is it Devolver?
Well, Devolver had their showcase, which was weird.
Just because of how interesting it was. Talking about making fun of.
Making fun of E3 and the subscription model and everything.
It was like a really aggressive kind of shredding of how games industry goes about showcasing things. It was quite funny.
Can't remember a single game they showed though. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, my mind was not on that in the slightest, for sure.
I have played a Devolver game here and there. I think, by virtue of them being like an indie sort of style publisher. So there's obviously been a couple of things from them that I've probably been interested in over the years. Thing is, it's all such a blur. I can't even remember what at this point. But
for sure.
Fair play to them. It was a funny, interesting thing that they did. So,
well done. Cool. Well, that was our E3 episode. It was a little bit kind of not unplanned, but it had to be a little bit off the cuff, just because the nature of how like everything happened. But yeah, we're going to Alton Towers tomorrow, so we're going to go on some roller coasters. So
And I'm going to be watching the England-Scotland football match on the way back up in the car, I think, on the way back on Friday night.
I didn't know they were. I did not know they were playing. I thought Scotland lost and they were out. So
well, they're not out yet. It was only their first game, but they have to.
I thought it was like you get one chance. Like
no. There's groups with points before they move into.
But this isn't a football podcast, so we will.
Well, you said something. I had to reply.
I know. Just
basically, Scotland need to get a result against England down in London. It's not going to happen, and we're all going to be sad.
I won't be sad. Yeah, cool.
Fucking call yourself Scottish, mate. Have some fucking pride in the fucking country.
I just don't care about football in the slightest.
Football crazy chocolate mad.
Let's
end the podcast.
This is a podcast, right?
No, I said let's end the podcast.
Oh, let's end this podcast. Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, this has been Not So Casual Gamer. This was episode 8. Our E3 episode.
Yep.
Stay tuned. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be doing our deep dive into all things Games Pass and Xbox. You'll be getting our.
It will be called Adventures in Game Pass.
Adventures in Passing of Games. Right. Follow on the socials, like on the things, share on the who's it's and what's it's, all that jazz.
Please follow.
Smash like. Just smash like. I don't know where. Just smash it somewhere.
Smash buttons.
Smash buttons. Button smash. Button mash. Video game terms.
Oh, God.
Have a great one. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.